All right, welcome back to another video. My name is Brian Hafferkamp. I'm the founder and designer at the Clark and Addison Gaming Company, and in this video we're going to be talking about precision baseball. And I don't do too many videos like this where I'm just kind of shooting the breeze, but I thought I would kill two birds with one stone, and so I'll be cutting out the Diamondbacks and the Braves cards. So these are the brand new cards, hot off the presses. Just finished them up yesterday, and so hopefully you can see them okay. But these are the batter cards and these are the pitcher cards. And so they're sort of reformatted. I put some new statistics in there. The statistics are really there to help break down each player so that in whatever situation or whatever lineup you're trying to set or whatever subs you're trying to bring in, that you have a really good idea about who this player is, what type of player he is, and then does he fit the situation, yes or no. So I guess just walking through the cards very quickly. On the batter cards we have, so we don't get distracted, we have the name of the batter, we have the year and the team that they're playing for, and I made this all white. In the past it's been kind of a dark color or a team color or something like that, but I'm finding that the white is easier to read, especially at a little smaller sizes. So we have their handedness, we have their primary position. Someone suggested that I put all of their alternate positions as well on like a roster sheet so that we have all of their ratings, their defensive ratings for those different positions. So that's maybe something I can do. If I do a roster sheet set, you'll have all of those probably. And then we have our versus left-handed and versus right-handed columns. So, excuse me, I've gone ahead and done all of the splits for both pitching and for hitting. You can see here, these are the main categories of the different types of plays that can happen if the roll comes off the batter card. And then we have versus left-handed and versus right-handed. If you've watched some of the other videos and you're familiar with the new sort of challenge pitcher hitter interaction, this is where that is. So obviously Buddy Kennedy didn't have any at bats against a right-handed pitcher, but he did against lefties. Christian Walker, an everyday player, you know, these everyday players are going to have versus left and right-handers, and then he is a +2 either way. Same with Corbin Carroll. But Lourdes Gurriel, he's a +2 against lefties. He's only a +1 against righties. Perdomo hits better against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching. So he's a switch hitter, so he's a better left-handed hitter than he is a right-handed hitter. And Marte is the same, so great hitter either way. He's a +3. And these ratings are based off of a number of different attributes against the average of the entire data set. Not the entire league, but the data set. And each data set is filtered by 20 plate appearances or 20 batters faced. So whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, I've just totally wiped out anybody that didn't have at least 20 batters faced or 20 plate appearances, which cut out some of the lower end guys that you're probably not ever going to use. But you know, people who came in for a cup of coffee. For a pitcher, that could be one start, or it could be, you know, like 3 innings, something like that. And it also cuts out all of those position players who came in to throw an inning or 2 innings or something like that. And I just find that they really skewed the stats, and they skewed a lot of things. So they were coming out with like 16 ERAs and stuff like that, which was really just, it was really throwing off the data set. So I cut out kind of the bottom end. So you have your ranges against lefties, against righties. We have all of our defensive statistics here. I put them all together. This actually helps me in the card creation process. You've seen some errors on some cards because I was trying to like have a card for infielders, a card for outfielders, a card for catchers, a card for DHs, that kind of thing. But I think just putting everything together here, and then if there's nothing, you know, if there's a number, then you'll know that you can look to that number. And then in purple, we have our base running stats. So BSR is kind of a general base running statistic. We have stealing, running, and grounded into double plays. And then over here we have our double plays. We have a range rating that I'm eventually going to incorporate into the game, but haven't yet. We have our error rating. The arm rating is for outfielders, and then throwing and catching is for catchers. So this is their throwing arm, and this is their catching ability. Basically their defensive ability as a catcher. And then we have on the batter card, you have the versus left and versus right-handed pitching. If you come on the pitcher card and it goes into the hit range, you need to find out what type of hit. And so we have these numbers here that break down how many singles against left-handed left-handed pitching did Christian Walker hit. So 47% of his hits, of his total hits, were singles. And then 47 to 63% were doubles, 64 to 100%. So what was that? 36% of his hits against left-handers were home runs. So a lot of pop here, about average against right-handed pitchers. So what is that? 18% of his hits, 17% went for home runs against right-handed pitchers. So you really see the splits. You see what kind of hitter they are. He's got more power against the lefty. So lower numbers for the batters mean better things as far as hits are concerned. So here he's got about a 10% home run rate. And then against right-handed pitching, he's only got about a 5% home run rate. So you just kind of learn, I think, over time how to read the cards. And then down here we have plate appearances, and then there's slash line, average on base, slugging, and OPS. So you can see all of those things here against against righties and lefties. And then also their K percentage, their walk percentage. You can see he strikes out a lot more against lefties. And then SBA is stolen bases attempted. So just a kind of a gauge of, is this guy running very much or not? You can see here, Corbin Carroll had a lot more stolen base attempts against righties than lefties. So maybe can give you some sort of gauge about should I be stealing with this left-hander on the mound or not? And again, here's an outfielder as opposed to an infielder. So he doesn't have a double play because there's not going to be a double play chance necessarily like on a grounder. But he does have an arm rating. So range, error, and arm. And then let's see, we have a catcher here. So the catcher here has none of these others with range and stuff like that. His are all throwing and catching. So the catching is sort of like the error rating here. So you'd use that in the same way. And then throwing obviously is a number that you would calculate along with the pitcher to see what kind of success the base runner can have whenever he's stealing. So that's our batter card. The pitcher cards, very similar, but not exactly the same. Similar layout. Okay, so we have name and all the stuff, his handedness, throwing, his role, his primary role, and this is based off of did he have at least 50% or more of his games were games started. So that's sort of my go-to to determine who gets a starting pitcher, who gets a relief pitcher. Because you have some relievers they have 4 starts out of 38 games. That's not a starting pitcher to me. That's a reliever who started every once in a while. But if you have a guy who pitched in 18 games and he started 10 of those, that to me is a starting pitcher who happens to relieve sometimes. So I might make that line of delineation 50%. You may agree or disagree. But that's just, it doesn't have a lot to do with anything. It's just to help you discern, okay, this guy's a starting pitcher, this is a relief pitcher. So against lefties and against righties, we have their values here. This is again, this gets in combination with the batter rating. So you can see you have the batter ratings here. So a minus for a batter is not good. That means they're below average. A minus for a pitcher is very good. So he's the lower number for a pitcher is better. So you can see that he's better against right-handed batters than left-handed batters. He's equally good. Zach Gallen also equally good. But here, Tommy Henry doesn't do as well against lefties as righties. So that may have some factor, especially when you're looking at relief pitchers who want to come in. And Miguel Castro, a -2 against right-handed batters, which is good, but against lefties, he gets roughed up. So you might want to think about bringing him in against left-handers instead of lefties and righties. Let's see, I don't know if they have a lefty specialist. Doesn't really look like, oh, maybe Mantiply. So here's maybe your left-handed specialist. So he does not as good against righties as lefties. And this -2 is really a reflection of all of these other values here in the range. So if you bring in a guy who's better against left-handers than right-handers, your range is going to be better for something good to happen for the pitcher. So you can see that his threshold for a hit, it's only 15% here, but it is, what is that, 22% here. So he's got a greater opportunity to give up a hit against right-handers than left-handers. His K percentage here, which shows here. So against right-handers, his K percentage is 14, but against lefties, his K percentage is 22%. So you can see he's just a better pitcher against lefties. So depending on what you need in that particular situation, you kind of know what you're going to get as far as the percentage goes. And really, these games are just based off of percentages and what could happen, what most likely will happen, but it's no guarantee that anything is going to happen. Even if a pitcher gets control of the at-bat, it's no guarantee that it's going to be a good result. It's just a guarantee that we're going to go off of that pitcher's numbers. So the better the pitcher, the better the opportunity for something good for the defense, right? The worse the pitcher, the better for something bad to happen for the offense. But it's just a way of determining, like a more fine-grained way of determining what happens between the batter and the pitcher. So that's really where I was going with the matchup. I'm trying to like really express as precisely as I can, what makes a hitter better than a pitcher? What makes, in that confrontation, what makes one player better than another? And if they're equally strong or equally terrible, it should be equal as to, who gets sort of control of the at-bat. So, but generally always there's a bit of an advantage to the pitcher, just because that's the way that baseball works. So we have those right and left splits here. We have our right and left values here. You can see all the same values, except we don't split out hits into the different categories. So the hits are going to come off of the batter card if the pitcher gives up a hit. Whenever I do my statistics, I kind of work off of what I have. And in these stats, I don't believe that I have any sort of breakout of types of hits for those pitchers. Maybe you can get that off of Baseball Reference, but I don't have that with Fangraphs. And so I just sort of work with that. And I think philosophically, I believe nobody actually controls the way a ball is hit or whether you get a hit or not. But I do believe that the batter has more control over what kind of hit than the pitcher does. So the pitcher can leave a ball out over a plate. Some batters are just better at hitting the ball hard or squaring the ball up or hitting it to a particular part of the field. And I think that batters do have some control over kind of how the ball goes. They don't have any control over whether it's a hit or not necessarily. But they do have the control over, can they square it up? Do they swing hard? Are they just trying to hit a contact swing? Are they trying to power up? And they go through the machinations to learn how to hit the ball in the place that they want it, to the place that they want it. So there has to be some skill level from the hitter as well. It's not all defensive and luck. Otherwise, everything would be a slap hit, right? So the pitcher, and some players are just power hitters. They're just really good at hitting for power. That's what they focus on, and that's what they do all the time. So that when they make contact with the ball, it gets up into the air and it goes really far. And there has to be some skill level to that. So I do take some sabermetric stats with a grain of salt, because it's not what my eye sees and it's not what I perceive. And in a game like this, there has to be a matchup. There has to be. It can't just be that pitchers are only dominant until they screw up. You can make great pitches and great hitters get hits off of good pitches. It just happens. Also, hitters get hits off of dinks and dumps, right? So there is some skill there at putting the bat to the ball, just like there's skill in throwing a pitch, and getting strikeouts. Strikeouts are not only because the batter is terrible. Sometimes strikeouts are just because pitchers are really good. They're good at deceiving, and they're good at sequencing, and they're good. They throw really hard. It's hard to hit the ball. So there has to be some sort of like fine tuning, I think, and we're starting to see that more in sabermetrics. There's some fine tuning to what's happening with the sabermetric stats. So we have all that. We have our range and our errors. So again, defensive is in green, just like with the batters. You have fewer because it's just one position. And then we have a hold, and the hold rating goes with the catcher. Let me see, the catcher throwing rating and the hold rating together. Those two are used in conjunction with one another to help determine what is going to be the column that we use for the stolen bases. And then that, along with the runner's stealing ability, helps us to get to the right column. And then down here we have the player's FIP, and these are again split out against righties and lefties. Their FIP, their innings pitched against each handedness, K percentage, walk percentage, and then ground balls, fly balls, line drives percentage, and then their whip. And so you can see here, extremely low whip against lefties for Zach Gallen, in almost the same amount of innings pitched. So I guess it gives you just some insight really into what people are doing here. You have 66 innings pitched against 22 against lefties. So that tells me that when he starts a game, because he is a starter, he's got 22 stamina. When he starts a game, people are really loading up with right-handed batters. You can see that he is actually better against right-handed hitting, so maybe that's not such a good plan for him. It's probably better to put some lefties in there. But because his FIP is higher, his walk rate is higher, his K rate is lower, he tends to give up more fly balls and more line drives against lefties, and so maybe it's not such a good practice to put a bunch of lefties in there against him. But you can really get in and you can really look and see what kind of pitcher these guys are. If you're in a situation where you need a ground ball, you got one out, you got no outs, runners first and second, and you're holding the lead and you need a ground ball, you need a double play. You want to look, is the guy that I'm bringing in, is he a double play kind of guy? Does he have a high ground ball rate? You're going to want to bring in Scott McGuff against a right-hander because his ground ball rate is almost 50%. This guy here, Kevin Ginkel, his ground ball rate against right-handers is almost 60%, which the league average is about 45 to 50. So you're just kind of looking at these different players. What do they bring to the table as a reliever? This guy is more of a fly ball pitcher, so he's got heavy fly ball stats, but he doesn't give up a lot of hits. So excellent pitcher, Seawald, but he doesn't give up a lot of hits. So you're really just kind of looking at really getting to know the kind of players that are on your team, and then deciding making a little bit more true managerial decisions. That's what I'm hoping for in this game. Okay, so that's the new player cards. You're gonna get, you can see here, you get 3 rows of 3, so you get 9 players per sheet. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you, I take quite a bit of care in trying to make it as easy as possible, because I know cutting cards is not everybody's favorite thing. You can see here that my printer has a hard time with pushing it all the way out to the edges. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can see that it creates a little border. Hopefully your printer doesn't do that. But I've tried lots of different things and can't quite seem to get my printer to do what I want it to do, which is really good borderless printing. So I don't know. What can you do? So I'll just show you real quickly what I do if I wind up with a border like that. So when you cut them, you can see here that it lines up really well. All the cards line up fine when you cut them. So that's what was that, 2 cuts? You line them up again, 3, and these are not going to be great. There it goes. So 4 cuts, and you got your cards cut out. You can see here that there's a little bit of a difference between this is an inside card that has all the borders perfect, and hopefully you can see this is an outside card. It's a little bit and this is a top left corner card, so it's got a little bit more margin on the left and the top. This one just has a little bit of margin there. Let's see, this is a perfect card. So you can see that it's got a little bit more margin at the top and a little maybe less at the bottom. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't bother you at all. But if you want perfect cards, you would need to take one of these perfect middle ones, and you can see there's a little bit of a trim there. So sometimes I'll just go through and I'll just make it perfect. You trim that little bit off, and now you've got a couple of perfect cards. Gallon still with a little bit of a margin at the top. I don't always get that picky with it. But if you do 2 or 3 sets at a time, or through 3 pages at a time, you can even cut that. You can cut all that in half. So I try to make it as easy as possible, because I know that this process is not everyone's favorite process to cut cards. But when you're doing PDF games, or sometimes when you order games, it's just a necessity. If you did this on perforated paper, it would be a lot easier. You would just punch everything out. But as it is, you know, it won't take you too long to cut those cards out. But you can see, it gives you a nice uniform card. This is kind of how big the cards are. It's a good size. Got a little bit more width to it, and it's not quite as tall as maybe like the on-base baseball cards, but it fits good into your hand. Pretty good size hands. And so if you have small hands, it might feel big. If you have big hands, it'll probably feel just right. I'm about 6'4", so my hands are kind of large. So just take that for what it is whenever you see the cards in my hand. You're like, oh, those don't seem so big. But when you get them, maybe they'll feel a little bit big to you. So I really, the cards with on-base baseball are a little bit bigger than this. Like I said, they're a little bit taller, and they only have, they have one cut down the middle, and then they have one, they have a cut down the middle, and then they have two rows of cuts. So that's how they came through. See if I can cut this big stack. Can barely. I don't have the best cutter in the world, but it's good for what I need to do, which is mostly creating prototypes for games like this. And so you can see you can cut quite a few just in one pass there. And I'll do the last two here. I don't know if I have time to play too much, but I'll try to play a little bit here this morning. Beautiful day, the sun's coming up. It's supposed to rain today though in Chicago, where I live. But really gorgeous spring days here lately. All the flowers are popping now, and lilacs are coming. So spring is here. Cubs are not playing in the snow, neither are the White Sox. Can't say as much for the Rockies, who got snowed out the other day. Almost got snowed out. I lived in Denver for a few years, or at least west of Denver. It's one of my favorite ballparks. If you ever get a chance to go to Coors Field, it's really beautiful. If you go sit down the right field line or sit in the right field stands, and you get a night game where the sun's going down, and you see the sun going down over the Rocky Mountains to the west, just over the left field corner. It's a beautiful ballpark. So we got the Braves here, and you know, I'm just gonna quickly separate these out. That's the other part. You just gotta kind of separate things. These look like in every other one. Here's a picture. But going through, this is 2023, so just kind of going through these names. Some of these guys are here, some are not. Kyle Wright got traded. Kevin Pillar didn't get picked up. Grissom got traded. Soroka got sent packing. And got some of the D-backs here. They're largely going to be the same team as they were. I mean, the Braves are too, to a certain extent. Ozzie. I don't know if Tommy Pham is with them anymore. I think they replaced Pham with who? Who did they replace him with? The guy from San Francisco, Peterson. Used to be a Brave as well. Jock Peterson. Gabby Moreno, Herrera, their backup catcher. So you can see here, he also has his throwing and catching ratings. Matty Olson. Marte, we're getting into their frontline starters. Evan Longoria. Ronald, +6 against right-handed pitching. Not as good against left-handed pitching. But 905 OPS against righties. 532 slugging. Man, stole 17 bases against left-handed pitching. It's ridiculous. Stolen base attempts, I guess. He didn't steal 17 against them, but he tried 17 times. Be interesting to see what his percentages were. Eddie Rosario is now a National. Austin Riley, cornerstone piece. Carroll. And Kyle Lewis, don't remember seeing his name anywhere. So maybe that's the batters. And the pitchers, you know, who knows? I don't really know who's continuing forward with each team. The relievers kind of cycle in and out year to year. Charlie Morton, getting toward the end of his career. Jarvis, I saw him in the early series against the Braves. Chirinos. Don't know if they let him go or not. Chafin, he came in the other day. Tonkin, he's a Met. Spencer Strider on the DL. You can see he's got a -6 on everything. -6 is as good as you can be for a pitcher. +6 is as good as you can be for a hitter. 24 stamina. 4% walk rate against 39% K rate against right-handed batters. Just ridiculous. Mentor, still a Brave. Maxwell Fried, still a Brave. You can see, kind of unusual for Fried with the -5 against righties, but against lefties, not as strong. And his fielding suffered a little bit. Just kind of a tough year, I think, last year for him. Bryce Elder, he pitched well last night. Really well, actually. Zach Gallen, here's another frontline starter, -6, -6. Really good fielder and really great at holding people on. +2 is above average. So average would be 0. Zach Davies, don't know if he's there. Ginkle had a great year. Kelly, another top line pitcher, -5, -6. Tommy Henry, not so much. Brandon Pfaadt, who pitched last night, again, really solid. He's in the negatives, and Scott McGuff had a good year last year as well. So we've got all of our batters and pitchers separated. It's kind of fun to go through and see players from other years. Let me put this. So we get a new table here. Not as slick as it used to be. Gotta apply a little pressure. And it's shinier than it has been in the past. So we'll see how that goes with the gameplay. Let me go ahead and separate these out. I'll see how much time I have too. Let's see here. Not really very much, maybe just a couple of minutes here. And I printed this out. I don't know why I printed so badly, but this is a game from July 18th. I've been just doing some practice games between Atlanta and Arizona. So Atlanta took 2 of 3 in the first set that I did with the cards. And this is a new set of cards. Now we're going to be doing lefty-righty splits all the time. And I've got my setup here for a game, you can see. And I'll just set these lineups and then play a little bit here. All right, through the magic of television, we are back, and I have gone ahead and sorted everything out. We have Zach Davies against Bryce Elder, so not the greatest pitching matchup in the world, but we'll see how this one goes. Got all of our charts laid out, got our cards separated, and the batting orders in order. I recognize these are not in the right order. So the Braves are now at home against the Arizona Cardinals, Arizona Diamondbacks. This was played right after, this is the first series right after the All-Star break. I remember Arizona kicked the crap out of Atlanta in this, and it was like, oh boy, had a great first half. I don't know about the second half. So we'll see how it goes here. This is sort of the beginning of the end for Bryce Elder's good season, and we'll see how that goes with him. All right, leading off is Perdomo, and then Marte, and then Carroll. Christian Walker hitting 4th. So we'll see how it goes. Let me just walk through a little bit of what we're doing. So Bryce Elder, right-handed pitcher. Perdomo, a switch hitter. So that means he's hitting from the left side. So we're looking at this column over here. And I don't know. Hopefully you can see it pretty well. All the numbers. They're not as small, maybe, as they seem on camera. But the first thing that we want to do is check the D20. You can roll 2 D10s if you need to, and then just add them together. But I have a D20. Really, you won't add them. You'll take one as a 10s digit and one as a 1s digit. So you need a 1. You need a 1 to 100 roll, or I'm sorry, a 1 to 20 roll. So you will add them together. That's right, right? So you need a 1 through 10 and then 1 through 10. So you need a 1 to, you will add them. I don't play with 2d10, so I'm trying to think about it on the fly. But if you have a d20, it makes it way easier. We have a 3 here. And the matchup here is Bryce Elder against left-handed batters is a 0. Perdomo against right-handed pitching is a +2. So even if you don't know what their handedness is, you can see how they are. So he's a right-handed pitcher, that's going to be a +2. He's a left-handed batter, that's going to be a 0. So Perdomo has a +2 advantage. So all things being equal, if they were both zeros, then that would be a 1 to 10 for the batter, 11 to 20 on the roll for the pitcher. As it is, Perdomo has a +2 advantage. So that means his 1 to 10 gets 2 added to it, 1 to 12. And then that obviously means that Bryce Elder is no longer 11 to 20. He's a 13 to 20 to get advantage. To get the advantage, really to get the control, quote unquote, of the at-bat. And basically all this does is tell us which card to look off of, the batter or the pitcher. So we're looking off of Perdomo's card for the roll. Our roll, we're going to read it red, white, and blue. So 552. And we're looking against right-handed pitching. 552 is going to be a strikeout. So you can see that just because the batter gets control doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to do something amazing in the at-bat, but it does mean that he has typically a better chance. So his against right-handed pitching, he's got 44%, almost 44% chance of something good happening. If that had come off of Elder's card, there's only about a 25% chance of something good happening for the batter. So you can see that there is a difference when one gets control over the other. Generally, batters are going to have more success if it comes off of their card. They'll have generally less success if it comes off the pitcher card, and vice versa. So in this game, that does have some teeth. You have to crunch the numbers just a little bit to see that, but generally you can see it. So again, against right-handed pitching, Marte is a +3 against the left-handed batter because he's a switch hitter. So he's batting left-handed against the righty. He's a 0. So again, that's a 1 to 13 for Ketel Marte. It's a 6, so let's just come off of his card. Red, white, and blue. 521 is going to be another strikeout. And so good start here for Bryce Elder with 2 Ks against the first 2 batters. Got his changeup working, I hope. And then now Corbin Carroll to the plate. Carroll is a +2. Again, another left-handed batter. So they're stacking him, the lefties, against Elder. And then against right-handed pitching, he's a +2. Doesn't really matter with him. He's great either way. A 5 is going to go to the batter. A 955 is going to be really good things as he takes a mistake and he cranks one. And we have this little hit chart here. So that's going to be a home run. We can see where it goes by rolling a die. A 9, that's down the right field line. So he catches an inside changeup. That's not where he wanted it. And he deposits it into right field. Sometimes the hit chart can really tell you what you can do as far as making decisions of sending people on the bases. So Corbin Carroll, 484 slugging percentage against right-handed batters, much better than against lefties. So 1-0 is the score. That was a 3. Against Christian Walker, against right-handed pitching, he's a +2. Against right-handed batters, he's a -3. So that means it's a -1 total. And that's 1 to 10 is usually like the cap is 10 if all things are equal. And then if we add whenever the batter has the advantage, then we subtract when the pitcher has the advantage. So hopefully that makes sense. So 10 minus 1 is 9. We have a 1 on the D20 roll, so it doesn't matter. But it would be a 1 to 9 because Elder is so good against right-handed batters. So, and a lot of that is his breaking pitch goes away from him. It goes into lefties, like right into the sweet spot for them. Christian Walker is going to be a 1-9, so it goes to his card. Red, white, and blue, so 653. And a 653 is going to be a walk against a right-hander. So not a great inning here for Bryce Elder. You can see his stealing ability is a 1. The catcher is Sean Murphy. I don't think you would want to steal against him. His throwing is a +3. And Elder's hold is a 0. So that +3, it would be his steal 1 minus the +3. So 1 minus 3 is a -2, which puts him, when we look on our stealing chart, stealing second base, -2 puts him in the last column. You can see green is safe, red is out, and that's not, anything less than -1 is not really where you want to be. So Christian Walker will stay at first base. We'll see what happens here. So far, the only guy who's made contact, hit it out of the ballpark, got Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to the plate. Again, right-handed batter, so we're looking here. He's a -3. Right-handed pitcher, he's a +1. So that is a -2 advantage to Elder. That means a 1-8 goes to the batter. 9-20 goes to the pitcher. So a 16 is, this is our first time going off the pitcher card. A 934 is going to be a hit. It's in his hit range. So we have a hit, and we go again off of the batter card, but this time instead of using this big box here, we're going to use these smaller boxes. So against right-handed pitching, that's what we're looking at. It's a 618. A 618 is going to be a double. And if we get our doubles chart, we can actually see what kind of double it was. A 7 is going to be a ground ball, so past the first baseman down into the right field corner. And that might help you to know, do you want to stretch that into a triple or not? We could even go so far as to check the right fielder. Does Acuna, that's who the right fielder is, does he make an error on the play? Acuna's error rating is a 0, so that puts him here. So if we roll our 3, so a 316. 316 is here, that's in the green. Green means no error on the play. So he fields it cleanly, and Gurriel is going to pull into second base with a double. Dominic Canzone, I think is how you say it, Canzoni. Left-handed stick. This is a 20, it's coming off of Elder's card. And Elder against a left-handed batter is a 0, so he's stronger. He's not as strong. Against right-handed pitching, he's a -1, so he's really not as strong. And that means that Elder still gets a -1 advantage, even though he's not as strong against left-handed batters. So 1-9 for Canzone, that's a 20. It doesn't really matter. A 0.37 is going to be a ground ball. And we're looking here on this chart, so where does the ground ball go? This is our finder, this is the ground balls. And 867 is going to be a grounder to third base. We're going to check the error rating for Austin Riley, who is the third baseman. Riley's error rating is a -1, so he's in the next to last column over here. You can see it. It's a lot harder to get everything on screen than it is to just play the game. So -1 is here. Our roll is a, that was a 2, and that was a 6. 266, I believe is a 6. 266. 266 is here, and under a -1, that's a green. Green says no error. So there's no error on the play. And with a runner at second base, we have to make sure nothing crazy is happening, because we got actually runners at first and second. the double with 2 outs. That should have scored a run. I didn't realize Christian Walker was at first. So Gurriel scores with 2 outs. That's an RBI. So we have a runner at second base. And it's hit to the third baseman. So this is our ground ball's normal depth. It's a runner at second base. It's hit to the third baseman. The roll is a 0.68, which is here. And you can see that that's a 5-3 put out with 2 outs. There's no runner advancement, so no big deal. But it's a little chopper down the third base line. Austin Riley comes in, makes a good throw across the diamond, and that's out number 3. So just like that, Arizona puts 2 on the board. And Atlanta comes up to bat. Let's see if they can score some runs. Don't know. Against Zach Davies. It's Acuna leading off, then Albies, then Riley. Zach Davies against right-handed batters is a -1. Acuna against right-handed pitching is a 6. So that's a +5 to Acuna. 1 to 15 comes off his card. 536 though is going to be a walk. Uh-oh. And we get to see Acuna in action here. His stealing is a +7. Davies is a 0 on his hold. The catcher is Carson Kelly. His throwing is a -1. So that's a -1 plus 0 is a -1 total. And this is prime time for Ronald Acuna. So we say he is stealing 7 minus a -1 is 7 plus 1. That's an 8. And when we're looking at our stealing second base chart, anything greater than 3 is in this column here. So Ronald is taken off. It's a 298. 298 is going to be safe into second base with a stolen base. You know what? Ronald's going to try to steal third too, just because he can. So again, he's in this column here. He's a +8. And you can see that his ability to get thrown out is only increased by about 5%. So he's going to take off to third base. A 156 is just in there, just ahead of the throw. So Ronald Acuna steals second and third base. He is at third with nobody out, and Ozzie Albies to the plate. Albies is a switch hitter, so he's hitting left-handed, but his batting against right-handed pitching is a +3. Davies against left-handed batters is a +1, so that means it's a +4 total, which is that the pitcher is not as good against those batters. So 1 to 14 goes to Albies. It's a 1. A 240 against right-handed pitching is going to be a fly ball. Fly ball goes to 753. That's to the center fielder. Does the center fielder make the catch? The center fielder is Alec Thomas. There's no error that's possible on a 503. That's like right here. So everything is green. No error on the play. Really no need to check the error unless you get like a really high or really low number. Like to check the chart per se. Okay, so we got a fly ball to center field. It's been caught. And then now we have this chart that has our fly balls normal depth. Left field, center field, right field. You can see that yellow is the gamer's decision if they want to send the runner. Red means they have to stay. They do not get a chance to go. And then green means you have to go. So we look at our base runner situation. Runner at third. I guess we can call that out number 1. Fly ball to center field is caught. We have a runner at third base. And so it's either going to be a gamer decision or you have to go. It is a 031. 31 means that you have to go. So we're going to have a play at the plate. And Alec Thomas, his arm rating is a +1, so not a bad arm. Ronald Acuna Jr., though, his base running is a +2. So since the base runner's run rating is better than the outfielder's arm rating, we have to use, we put the onus on the outfielder to throw him out. So we have to use this chart here. Red means safe, green means out. It's kind of maybe a little bit backwards from what you might think, but it's clearly labeled here. So red is safe. That means basically green is success, which would be an out when the outfielder throws the ball. Okay, so the outfield arm is a +1, so that's here. So about average. He has to roll a 211 to a 360. And these numbers are based off of the outfielder's kill percentages and their ability to either throw out runners or to keep runners from advancing. So this is a really good stat. It's called R-arm, I think, or just arm. I think it's R-arm. It's a stat on Fangraphs that takes into account several different things, not just their ability to throw people out, but do people run on them. That tells you what kind of arm they have. So, all right, our roll is a 303, and a 303 is out at the plate as Ronald. They send him, and he gets gunned down at the plate by Alec Thomas. Good throw. That's going to be an 8-2 on the putout. No sac fly as Ronald Acuna Jr. gets gunned at the plate on a shortish fly ball. That's 2 outs with Austin Riley coming to the plate. Big play there. This will come off the pitcher card. A 19 is really high. So a 921 is going to be a base hit against right-handed pitching. Don't really need that. 737, so we're looking here against righties. 737 is going to be a double for the big man, Austin Riley. That's a line drive to right center field as he splits the gap, and he will wind up at second base. Again, you can check the outfielder, but it's hard to tell, like on a hit to right center field, like who picks up the ball. So you would have to, I guess, roll to see on a line drive like which player got the ball. So 497, that would be the center fielder picking the ball up. A 422 is no error on the play. So Alec Thomas is able to get it in. Austin Riley comes in to second base and standing up with a double. As you can see, there's a lot of moving parts in the game. It's not difficult, just a lot of moving parts, but they make sense when you get used to it. Matty Olson against right-handed pitching is killing them, +5. -1 is a +4, so 1 to 14 goes to Matty Olson. This will be off his card. 579 is going to be another walk. Second walk for Davies. His walk percentage against righties is 9%, a little bit above average. And that's going to bring Sean Murphy to the plate. This will come off of Murphy's card. A 092 is a ground ball. That grounder goes to second base. 816, it's worth checking the error. The second baseman is Marte. Good fielder. His error rating is a -1 though. And so an 816 is going to be a play made. So he picks up the ball. He doesn't make an error on the play, but we got to look at our ground ball chart to see what happened. We have a runner. We have runners at first and second with 2 outs. Hit to second base, first and second. The roll is a 025. This could be real trouble as we get an all safe. So that's going to be an infield hit. no error on the play, but couldn't make a play anywhere. And so Sean Murphy is going to be safe on a single, and that will load the bases. So a very rare play. Normally that's going to be a put out. Brings up Marcell Ozuna. This will come off Ozuna's card. A 950. That's real trouble, as he leaves one out over the plate for the big bear, and he deposits it over the left fielder's head, straight away left field. That's a no-doubter, and a grand slam for Marcell Ozuna. And this game is off to the races. It's now 4-2. Braves over the Diamondbacks. This was exactly how the game went. One of the games was like 11-10 or something. So he puts it into the bleachers in left field, Ozuna, with the bomb. At that point, he was really rolling in the season. He had a really tough April, but by the time he got to May, he was one of the best hitters in the league. Brings up Mike Harris. Harris with a 225 that comes off the pitcher card. So you can see he is a +2, 1-12, but a 16 comes off here. So 225 is a grounder. That's going to be a ground ball to first. No error on the play. And flip to the pitcher covering. 3-1 on the put out. That's going to be out number 3, but 1 out too late, as Marcell Ozuna goes deep, and the Braves have a 4-2 lead. So an exciting first inning, to say the least, and a little bit of everything actually in there. Ronald Acuna with 2 stolen bases, but he gets thrown out at the plate, which is ridiculous. So Alec Thomas throws him out, down to 2 outs in the inning. They get a double, walk, single, home run, and all of a sudden it's 4-2 Atlanta over Arizona. So this is using the new cards with the left-right splits in Precision Baseball. Again, I'll play with these a little bit, and I'll put some more full-length games online. Probably finish this one out today. I'm taking a lot of time to like walk you through how everything works and what you're looking at and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't play quite this long, but there are a lot of things to kind of check out. But once you get into a rhythm of, okay, you know, if it's not a high roll on an error check, then you just kind of move on. So yeah, this will be coming soon, and I'll get it out there. I've had a few people say that they would be willing to play, and what I'm looking for with testers is for you to play 10, 15 games, something like that, and just like get a really good sample size, try to keep track of your stats, see how things are coming out. Are things good, bad? Do they need to be adjusted? That kind of thing. And just, are there rough spots in the game that could be smoothed out just with changing gameplay or the dice that we use or whatever it is. So just trying to really get a sense of the game and how someone else will play it, because I've been playing it for a year and nobody else really has. So this would be a first opportunity to kind of see where things are. Can they be better? Are the stats that are on the cards helpful when you're thinking about who to start or who to bring in? Obviously here we're using as played lineups, so it's not really my choice. But if you were choosing lineups, is it helpful to kind of see who is doing what? And are the dice rolls adequate for what we're doing? And are the charts good? I mean, they're based on statistics, so I believe that they're good. But are they fair? Are they right? You know, do we need to adjust those percentages a little bit? All right. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, click subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. A little bit different video, a little more casual, I guess, moving through and cutting the cards and introducing the game again, all at the same time. And like I said, this will be coming at least a playtester soon. So if you're interested in doing the playtesting, like I said, which is, you put in 10 or 15 games, you can play as many as you want, but I really want like a decent sample size of games. Even if you just played the same few teams all together, that's fine. I just want to know how they kind of play against each other. And then, are there things that we can do to smooth parts out of the game out, or speed things up, or we don't quite need this or that kind of thing. So just let me know how that works. And I really want to work on the fielding and create some different range checks and some things like that. So how can we sort of incorporate more of the fielding and the base running into the game as well? All right, I think that's it from here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.